Vai começar agora o show dos golfinhos.
You're also on the same page, and probably the correct page as well. We have three of them who we're going to be working with today, and two lovely marine mammal trainers, the lovely Adria, the lovely Lisa, and our dolphins. Well, we have two lovely ladies in that category as well. This is the lovely Hannah, and lovely lady number two, the lovely Helen. And I'll try and give you some pointers to the program on how to actually tell them apart. Our lone male spinnaker! He doesn't actually respond to this.
Got him!
So yes, we call these animals Helen, Hannah, and Spinnaker, but research usually begins with figuring out who it is that you're working with. And yes, these are dolphins. But what kind of dolphins? We have over 40 different kinds of dolphins. Dolphins in the oceans and the rivers, so we've put income porpoises in that group as well. About a dozen of them can be found right off our coast, and that's where you'll actually find these guys. We're very fortunate to have them off our coast. We're known as the Pacific white-sided dolphins, of course, because of the range and their coloration. Now, being Pacific, you don't just find them here. They start in, generally speaking, northern California, all the way up through our part of the world, all the way over to Japan. And they're known for their coloration, their range, and their acrobatics. A particular move is called a breach right there. You're lucky enough to see maybe 200 to 300 of those happening at a time right here off of our coast. Now, it wasn't too long ago if you wanted to see these animals, you had to go out into the middle of the ocean. On the way to Japan, they were an open water species of dolphins, still are, and they were tough to find because the ocean's a pretty big place. For some reason, in the early 80s, they came in closer, and people have been getting to know them much better by a lot of what you folks are doing right here today, just getting to know them by taking pictures. So get your cameras ready, because you'll be, of course, very lucky to see, well, 2, 3 full-body shots of Pacific white-sided dolphins like this. Not terribly unusual, because, yes, they are acrobatic. However, this is a trained behavior, so we're showing them off a little bit here. However, as long as a researcher, you get a decent high-res photo of one key part of their body, you can actually identify them. It's as unique as our own fingerprints, and they are, of course, the dorsals. And even our dolphins here have some unique different dorsals. Easily you can tell them apart. Two ladies in Spinnaker. You'll notice Spinnaker on the far side, just looking at the color. His is mostly gray throughout, whereas the ladies are kind of half and half. In between the ladies, it's the shape that's the easiest way to tell them apart. Helen's more hooked towards the back. Hannah, more triangular, almost shark-like, if you will. So yes, now that we have them told apart, let's work on some research, shall we? In particular, we'll look at something that's near and dear to everyone's hearts, including the dolphins. Let's talk food. In particular, how do they fit into the ocean's food chain? What do they eat, and what eats them? Let's start off with what do they eat. You'll notice inside their mouths, as the trainers work with them and they open, about 100 to 120 conical-shaped teeth. Very good at grabbing onto the small squid, herring, capelin that the trainers are feeding them today. Very good at grabbing and swallowing. They don't, like we do, have applesauce makers or molars or crushers in the back of their jaws, but they are very good at eating bigger fish that do require a little bit of chewing. So how do they do it? Well, we do not speak German, but we do speak dolphins. Do you like salmon in tins? No. No, they don't. And they're not actually answering our questions either. They're showing what they do with big fish, such as halibut and salmon, which these animals eat. They grab onto them, they shake their head back and forth, and actually break the big fish into smaller, more bite-sized chunks. Now, speaking of bite-sized chunks, there are animals that would like to do the same to the dolphins. If you're a dolphin, you probably don't want that to happen. And they're actually naturally designed to avoid this. Known as counter-shading, light on the belly, a little bit darker on the backside. Blends in with the ocean and with the sky. How does that work? Well, you can imagine if you're a predator looking up, you've got these white streaky clouds. What am I looking at here? Might be a dolphin. Or if you're up top looking down, well, the dark side might be blending in with the bottom of the ocean. You may never even know there's a dolphin underneath you. But there are animals that don't just use their eyes, they also use their ears. In particular, there's a very good hunter off our coast that eats marine mammals. It's black and it's white. It's not a zebra. It's an orca, or transient killer whale. They eat marine mammals such as dolphins, so if you're a dolphin, probably best to leave the area. These animals can travel up to 35 kilometers an hour. Inside Stanley Park, to give you an idea, the speed limit's only 30, so they should be ticketed every time. Doesn't make sense because they're not driving, however. They're also very acrobatic, as we've seen. They'll use their acrobatics, use their speed to avoid, get out of the way of the killer whale. Other than orcas, we also have sharks off of our coast, some really big ones as well. No mistake that Lisa has grabbed the great white volleyball to show off the ability of the nose or the rostrum of these animals. If they happen to detect that, oh, there's a shark that wants to eat me, they can turn the tables and use their rostrum like a battering ram and actually ram into the side of the shark. Killer whales, they're actually a species of dolphin. They're known to use their rostrum as well to avoid things. That doesn't work. The other end, the tail. Smack, smack, smack. Take that, you nasty shark. So yeah, these animals are pretty good at avoiding being eaten by sharks. Pretty good at avoiding killer whales. There's a third animal, however, that they're not always so good at getting away from. And all of our dolphins here have first-hand examples of this. And if you look around, you are surrounded by them as well. They're And the first-hand example that I mentioned, well, it's a rather unfortunate one. They've all been wrapped up or entangled at one point in time in marine debris, mostly fishing nets, fishing line off the coast of Japan, and they were, essentially wrapped up in this stuff. Hannah and Spinnaker, they show the scars of this entanglement, and probably the most obvious one is Helen. And she had to have parts of her pectoral fins, unfortunately, partially removed as a result of her entanglement. It's very sad, very unfortunate. They were rescued, they were rehabilitated. Somewhat unfortunately, they were deemed non-releasable. It's usually a reflection of how much time you spend with people, and also as a result of, well, your injuries. So that's why they're here with us, to help us get to know our neighbors and how remarkable and amazing they are, and how, yes, we should really be dumping stuff into the ocean that they get caught up in, because, well, we'd rather them out in the ocean for years and years and years to come, because they're pretty awesome. So that got kind of serious, and well, our neighbors, they are pretty awesome, so we should probably end on a high note. Helping us out in our journey of discovery, getting to know the rather remarkable eating habits and such of our Pacific white-sided dolphin neighbors, Helen, Hannah, and Spinnaker. On behalf of the trainers, myself, and of course the dolphins, thanks so much for joining us. We couldn't have done it without you, but I think this is it. We're wrapping it up, and I believe, oh yes, it's the tail end of the show. You can do that at home as well. You're finished talking to someone. Tail end, we're done here. Thanks so much. It's been a wonderful audience. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon here at the aquarium. We have one small announcement. If you happen to be the owner of a blue Toyota Echo, license plate 916RFA, if you could come down and speak to our friend Jeremy down here in the gray sweater, that would be much appreciated. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine.